down below, and always be sure to like, subscribe, and share. So with that, I have a couple more stories for you guys if you want. You know what I want to share with you guys? Let's talk about Andy Cohen. Do you guys want to talk about Andy Cohen for a little bit? Let's talk about Andy Cohen. Okay. So, Andy Cohen, in my opinion, is being his typical hypocritical self. So, unfortunately, and I wish this upon no one, he is the current victim of a huge credit card fraud scheme. Huge. He is talking about it on the Today Show. I think I have a clip. I may or may not. But he's talking about it. You know, he lost a lot of money. He hasn't given a particular number, but the fact that he is, speaking out publicly, he's doing a press tour around it. I'm pretty sure he lost a substantial amount of money to a credit card fraud scheme. So he's speaking out about it and he's slamming Jen Shah and all of that stuff. But I'm going to tell you why I think he's a hypocrite. Okay, let's get the facts of what happened, and then I'm going to give my spin on it. So this is according to People magazine. Okay, here we go. Andy Cohen shot back and called out the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City star's insane demands before reporting to prison, where she's serving a 5.5-year sentence for overseeing a telemarketing scam. So obviously he's talking about Jen Shah, and he's really invested now because he is now a victim of fraud. So he says, Andy Cohen is speaking out after Jen Shah claimed he was still upset about her declining a one-on-one interview with him before beginning her prison sentence. On Wednesday's episode of SiriusXM's Andy Cohen Live, Andy discussed how the Real Housewife of Salt Lake City star called him out on social media after Heather Gay allegedly said that Jen was the one who caused her a black eye on the season 4 finale of the Bravo show Tuesday night. Quote, as someone who was just the victim of an online and phone scam where I lost a lot of money, this message comes at an interesting time, the Watch What Happens Live host said, referring to a recent incident in which he was scammed by someone pretending to be his bank. His scamming incident had no connection to Shah. So let me just say that I just need to predicate that I'm a current victim of fraud, which is what she is in jail for, he added. I'm not connecting her. I'm not saying that she's responsible for it, but I'm just saying it's ironic that I happen to. Then he gets cut off, but it's a hateful thing that she's involved in, his co-host John Hill interjected. I have this clip. We'll watch it, okay? The Bravo executive argued that the network would have aired footage of the black eye incident between Gay and Shah if it had been filmed, explaining, I don't want to be Captain Obvious here, but if we had footage, don't you think we would have aired it? Do you think we wouldn't have said, Heather saying, I don't know how I got the black eye, and then don't you think we would have caught the footage with the chyron that said 4 hours earlier? Pop. Dun, 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 dun. He also addressed Shah's accusation that he was still holding a grudge against her for not doing a one-on-one interview in the lead up to her 5.5-year prison sentence for her role in a long-running telemarketing scheme. I had forgotten about the one-on-one with Jen, he shared. She is right. I did want to do a one-on-one with her. I don't care about it anymore. I'm over it. Her stipulations were insane. She wanted in exchange for this, I'm trying to remember the specifics. I know she wanted us to do a docuseries of her days leading up to jail, he claimed. She wanted a lot of money and she was still professing her innocence. So I wouldn't have been another interview of her sitting across from me lying to my face, which we got at 2 reunions from her. So that's that. That's my response to that. Okay, note what he said. Lying to my face, proclaiming their innocence, fraud schemes. Those are things important to remember, okay? Okay. Now, let's listen to it from the horse's mouth, okay? This is what he had to say.
As someone who was just the victim of an online and phone scam where I lost a lot of money. This message comes at an interesting time. So let me just say that. I just need to predicate that I'm a current victim of fraud, which is what she is in jail for. I'm not connecting her to what I'm not saying that she's responsible for it, but I'm just saying it's ironic.
But it's a hateful
that
thing
I
she was
happen
involved
to,
in. Yeah.
Yes. So I just have to point that out. Let me point out, I don't want to be Captain Obvious here, but if we had footage, don't you think we would have aired it? Do you think we wouldn't have said, Heather saying, I don't know how I got the black eye. And then don't you think we would have cut to the footage and with a chyron that said 4 hours earlier, pop.
Yeah.
You know,
graphic content warning.
That's first of all, that's quite obvious. Second of all, I had forgotten about the one-on-one with Jen. She is right. I did want to do a one-on-one with her.
Naturally.
I don't care about it anymore. I'm over it. Her stipulations were insane. She wanted in exchange for this, I'm trying to remember the specifics. I know she wanted us to do a docuseries of her days leading up to jail. She wanted a lot of money, and she was still professing her innocence. So it would have been another interview of her sitting across from me, lying to my face, which we got at 2 reunions from her. So that's that. That's my response to that.
Okay, Andy, this is my response to that. Remember, fraud, victims, professing innocence, lying to people's faces. Okay. I'm confused then, Andy, why you have all of this smoke for Jen Shah, correlating the fact that she was doing her own marketing scheme with the fact that now you are a victim of fraud yourself. Now you are all up in arms. You're clearly angry and you feel pissed off and you're victimized and all this fraud, and you want to correlate it with Jen Shah. If that is the case, then you need to correlate it with Erika, Jayne, and Tom Girardi as well. Because at the end of the day, victims are victims and fraud is fraud. So if you are going to sit up here, and again, when something happens to you, it always hits different. And I'm not coming after Andy Cohen because I get it. When you are the victim, when you are on the other side of something happening to you, then all of a sudden you get a completely different perspective. You get a totally different understanding. You get a completely different level of empathy when it happens to you. So now that you are the victim, you want to correlate it to Jen. Well, I'm pretty sure, and correct me if I'm wrong, Andy Cohen. And again, I'm really sad this happened to you. I wish this on no one. No one likes feeling victimized because it's never about the money. It's about, feeling dehumanized. It's about feeling that somebody took something from you. It's all of those feelings. But if you're going to have all of that smoke for Jen Shah, then you need to have that same smoke for Tom Girardi and Erika, Jayne. Because I'm pretty sure that the person who scammed you or the persons who scammed you, if their spouse said, well, you know what, Andy Cohen? My husband bought me these diamond earrings with your stolen money, but they were a gift, so they're mine. I'm pretty sure you would have a problem with that. I'm pretty sure you would want whoever got, the illegal gains of someone defrauding you. I'm pretty sure you would want your money back, wouldn't you? I'm pretty sure you would want to be made whole by any means necessary. So this is a fraud case. There are victims involved. There are people professing their innocence. How often Erika, Jayne is still in our faces lying to us, in my opinion, talking about how I was tricked and I'm a destitute wife and I've lost everything and blah, blah, blah. But the truth was, like she said, she doesn't give a damn about anybody but herself. I think she knew he was a fraud and scamming. She didn't care. She's still in court fighting for those earrings that do not belong to her. She's still refusing to give up money. She still has slush funds of millions and millions of dollars, Wells Fargo accounts in Florida, all of that, living a very lavish life, but she gets rewarded. You know, Tom Girardi's mistress gave back property, gave back jewelry. You know, other people that he had given stuff to turned it over, not out of the kindness of their hearts because they took it in the first place. And Tom Girardi being a fraud was like the biggest unkept secret in California. Everybody knew what he was doing in those particular circles. Maybe not, you know, John Q. Public, like you and me are like, la, 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 but like the people who actually interwork with that knew he was a fraud because it's basically organized crime, except for it's white collar within those situations. That's how he was able to do it for decades. And that's how it became millions, if not billions of dollars. He didn't do it by himself. People knew who he was. They were just afraid of him. He's nothing but a mobster at the end of the day, threatening people, stealing from people. Come on. It's the same. It's just when a person looks a certain way or comes from a certain zip code, we want to call it something else. At the end of the day, he was a thug. He was a thug. Stealing from people and threatening people. He was a thug. That's who Thomas Girardi was. But because he looked a certain way, came from a certain level of society, we want to call it something else. No, he's a thug. He's a thug. So I would be curious, Andy, if the people who frauded you out of a lot of money, because it is a lot of money. I'll play a clip for you guys because he's talking that he did on the Today Show. I'm pretty sure that if their wife or their spouse had gotten all of these gifts from your money, I'm pretty sure you would want them to give you back your money, right? Right? I'm pretty sure. Would you want that person who benefited from you being a victim? Would you want that person celebrated? Would you want that person to have a, Vegas residency? Would you want that person to have their own spinoff on Bravo? Would you want that person to be fighting in the court system to keep your money? Would you want that person to do that? I'm pretty sure you wouldn't. And how would it feel that the person who is benefiting from the fact that you were a victim is on international television telling the world that you are an alleged victim and that they don't give a damn about anybody but themselves and that they are going to appeal for legal reasons any chance you have at being made whole? How would you feel? So now that the shoe is on the other foot and you unfortunately is a victim, and I don't wish this on anybody, and I have nothing against Andy Cohen. Personally, I don't know him. I'm just saying, now that the shoe is on the other foot, you're clearly throwing all the smoke at Jen Shah, but what is your stance now on Tom Girardi and Erika Jayne? Because I'm pretty sure you wouldn't like it if the wife of the person who got you for all this money treated you the way Erika has treated these victims. Because a victim is a victim, is fraud, whether it's a telemarketing scheme, whether it's a credit card scheme, whether it's a Ponzi scheme, they're all schemes. Thomas Girardi was doing a Ponzi scheme, stealing his clients' monies. And all of his clients are victims. That's why they're in the court system. They're all victims of something. And so he stole his clients, the victims' money, in a Ponzi scheme. Jen Shah stole her elderly victims' money in a telemarketing scheme. Andy Cohen got stolen from in a credit card scheme and became a victim. So Andy, I'm going to need for you to have this same level of smoke for your little bestie BFF Erika Jayne over there in Beverly Hills, that you're having for Jen Shah. Because at the end of the day, they're both dead wrong. They both have clearly benefited from blood money, from stealing from people who are victims. And I do feel bad for Andy Cohen. Just because he's rich and has millions of dollars and is famous doesn't mean that it's okay for people to steal from him. Doesn't mean it's okay for people to victimize him. I know that there's levels to it. I know Tom Girardi's victims were burn victims and orphans and plane crash victims and someone, I know that. And I know Andy has a different story, but at the end of the day, he doesn't deserve to be a victim. Nobody deserves to be a victim. Nobody. So, Andy, I'm going to need you to have some of that energy for Erika. You see what I'm saying? So, that's kind of where I land on that. Let's hear it from Andy's own mouth. I do have a clip from him on the Today Show. Okay, here we go.
I know you don't want to give a dollar figure.
Yes.
But it was
enough
significant.
that I'm on the Today Show talking about it.
So some things that you can do. You can check the email address. That's number one.
Check the email address.
Yep.
Absolutely. Click on it always. When you get a text, when you get a call, don't get sucked into the urgent moment of it. Like, you need to do this right now.
Right.
Take a breath and just go to your bank or call the number on the back of your card. Have it handy. Nothing needs to happen now. A lot of times these people call and say, time is of the essence. You have to do this now. Oh, let me get my information. Let me get it for you. Don't do that.
So yeah, I agree with Andy. Don't get caught up in the urgency, of a text. You have to do this. You have to, because I feel like this is what happened to Andy Cohen. This is my gut, just from basically what he just said. Either the fraudster called him or sent a text being like, this is an urgent matter. We need your credit card information to rectify this. Maybe like, oh, your card was declined at some place, or this happened some here, or this happened. And he was probably just like, okay, yeah, whatever, here's the info, like whatever. And then it turns out that person was a scammer, got his information and scammed him out of all this money. That's what it sounds like, right? So my heart goes out to you, Andy. I am really sorry that happened to you. Nobody deserves to be a victim. But, the silver lining of when, unfortunately, bad things happen to people who have platforms, the silver lining is that it does provide them the incentive to educate people, to share their experiences, to have more empathy, right? So it's like when, people who have platforms get cancer or something happens to them. It's a horrible thing, and you don't wish that on people. But that's the catalyst of like, wow, this famous person is sick. Let's give. Let's do drives. Let's do, breast cancer walks, or let's do blah, 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 blah. Whereas when your average Joe gets sick or your average Joe gets scammed, unfortunately, it's a lot harder to get people to care, or to get people to pay attention, or to get people to help. So now that it's happened to him, us, the smart people with our consciousness, we've been talking about this forever. We've been like, Erika Jayne, like, what the hell? She's been complicit in this, what she's done to the victims, all of this stuff, like, hello. And Andy Cohen has backed her, not 100%, but 110%, to the point where she has her own spinoff show. Always bet on blonde, So, Andy, I really want to know, have your thoughts on Erika's position changed now that you yourself are a victim of a fraud scheme? Because I really doubt if that person's wife said, oh, my husband spent $750,000 of the money that he stole from you on a pair of earrings for me. I want to keep them. I wonder if Andy Cohen would be okay with that. See what I'm saying? So yeah, that's where I land on that. But let me know what you guys think. As always, be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Oh no, N-Dub says chocolate chunk. Yes, I'm literally going through that right now. It's so hard to trust people these days. Oh no, N-Dub, whatever you're going through, so sorry. Oh, Chocolate Chunk says when you get scammed, it creates major trust issues. It's traumatizing. It violates your privacy. Yes, 100%. That's what I was saying. Like, it doesn't matter what the fraud is, insert whatever scheme. The feeling of what it's like to be victimized is the same. You know, that's why the hallmarks of PTSD, the hallmarks of any type of survivor or victim, no matter what the ex trauma is, they're the same, you know? So I'm so sorry, N-Dub, and you're right, Chocolate Chunks. Crazy. Oh, thank you, N-Dub, since I just purchased a conspiracy t-shirt. Oh, that's right, you guys. We launched our conspiracy t-shirts. You asked, I answered. Thank you so much. It comes in black, white, dark gray, and navy. The link is at the top of the page. And you can also just go to candywashington.com/shop, or you can click the link that's pinned at the top of the page. We just launched these. That's why I had to push it to the live to today, because I was like working yesterday on it because I wanted to get it ready for you guys. So yeah, so good. Okay. All right, you guys. Do you want to do another story? I think I got another story in me. I think I do. Do you want to do Monica's mom, or do you want to do Monica's divorce? Put it in the chat box. Monica's mom or Monica's divorce. I have both of those stories ready to go. Whoever I see in the chat box first, that is what I will do. Do you want Monica's mom or Monica's divorce? Chocolate Chunks says